This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with guitarist Richie Faulkner of the heavy metal act Judas Priest. If I knew absolutely nothing about Judas Priest, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Well, I'd show you, first of all, I think I'd give you Victim of Changes from the Sad Rings of Destiny album and say, listen to that. And then you know what heavy metal is, if you know what I mean. So it's it's very, if I had to describe it, it's pretty dynamic. It's loud in places, it's quiet in places, it's got beautiful passages and then heavy passages, operatic vocals in places, screaming guitars, pumping drums, but go and listen to Victim of Changes from the Sad Wings of the Destiny album, and that'll give you, but if you're an alien coming down from outer space, I'd give you that and say, go and listen to that.
It does seem like a silly question after Judas Priest being around for 50 years. Hey, what if there's somebody that hasn't heard of them?
Well, you can never take that for granted. We go to cities and countries all the time where the band haven't been for a while. So it could be a young kid out there that hasn't seen the band, or a country or city that the band hasn't played before. So I don't think you can take for granted that everyone's seen Priest. There's always someone that hasn't, always someone that's seen the band for the first time. And as you're talking about, you've got to kind of put across what Priest means, to them as well for the first time. So it's an honor, really, but that's the duty. There's always someone out there that hasn't seen the band.
You and Judas Priest are currently out on the second leg of the Invincible Shield Tour throughout North America from September 13th through the end of October. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the first leg of the tour met your expectations.
Yeah, it was amazing, really. I mean, we started off in the UK, went through Europe, then we've done the first leg in the States, back through Europe through the whole summer, and now we're back out here again doing the other side of the country, really. And again, it's getting to everyone that hasn't seen the tour, and again, maybe hasn't seen the band yet. So, and that's what we do. We make music and then we tour, and that's what we love to do. And fortunately, we were able to do it, and they've been able to do it for 50 years.
Well, with a 50-year career catalog, it must be tough working in some of the newer material from Invincible Shield.
Do you know what? It's surprisingly not. It's I mean, the majority of it's Glenn, Rob, Ian, and Scott, which have been in the band. Well, Scott's been there for 30 years, over 30 years now. So it's the same DNA that runs through all the music, So we get in the studio, me, Rob, and Glenn. We put our ideas together and see what we've got, and it's the same DNA, really. So the new songs fit right in alongside those old ones,
You have heavy metal, I don't want to call them newcomers, but they sort of are up and coming. SABATON opening up for you guys. How have they been performing out on the tour with you?
Fantastic. They're going down really well. Obviously, they bring a different audience, which is always great. I'm going to say it again, but you get someone that maybe hasn't seen Priest and has been a SABATON fan. They come to the show and they see Priest for the first time, and vice versa, really. We get Priest fans that haven't seen SABATON before. They're reaching a different fan base as well. And so they're going down really well. They're a great bunch of lads. They do great every night, and they're going down really well. So it's a pleasure to have them out on the road with us.
I noticed on select tour stops, you and Scott have this little add-on to the backstage experience called the Soundcheck Experience. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that add-on?
Yeah, well, me and Scott usually go, when we can, we go down to the show early. We plug in. Scott gets behind the drums, and we mess around. We play some songs that maybe we need to brush up on a few things, or we usually end up playing covers, UFO or Thin Lizzy covers. And what we do is we open up the stage to a group of people to come down and to share that experience with us. And we end up, chatting to them and talking about their Priest stories. They call out songs that they want to hear. I think the other day we had One Shot at Glory. Someone asked for ROCKA ROLLA. So it's songs that aren't on the set list this time around, but people want to hear us play. We played The Boys Are Back in Town. We played The Cult, She Sells Sanctuary. So it's just a little get together, and we wanted to open up the stage and invite some people down so they get a taste of what it's like up there. And it's been a great fun so far.
Judas Priest is going to be hitting Japan in December. Kind of a special place for Priest. They released Unleashed in the East back in the day. Great live set for them. I don't know how long it's been since you were last in Japan, but obviously different kind of crowds over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, every crowd, as you can imagine, around the world, every country has its own different dynamic when it comes to crowds and the way that everyone shows appreciation and enjoys things. And Japan's no different. But they've been, as you said, incredibly loyal over the years. Unleashed in the East was a classic album, one of the best live albums in my opinion. And yeah, we didn't get to go over there on the 50-year anniversary, so it was Firepower. I think we were there on 2019, so it's 5 years since we've been to Japan. So it'll be great to see our fans. I know there'll be some familiar faces out there, but it would be great to get out there again to the Japanese fans and play some heavy metal for them.
Now, a lot of bands that reach their 50th anniversary, they're kind of calling it a day. They're coming off the road. They're calling it quits. Judas Priest seems to be amping things up.
Well, it's funny, as you go through the States and through Europe and these different territories, there really seems to be a renewed hunger for that type of classic heavy metal. We've got Maiden out at this point, Metallica are out at this point. There's a lot of bands out at this point, and there seems to be just like a renewed energy for that style of music. So how could you not kind of go along with that? There's massive crowds in Europe and in the States, and as you said, Japan. We're surely going to get to South America at some point, because there still seems to be a hunger for this type of music. So as long as we can, as long as we can and we're able, we'll be there to satisfy that, hopefully.
Now, your publicist wanted me to talk to you about the 50th anniversary of ROCKA ROLLA, which I thought was kind of funny since you hadn't been born yet when the album was made. Neither was I, but right. It was recently remixed and remastered to the band's liking. When they first made it, they were just young guys in the studio, kind of being told what to do, and someone else took control of how it sounded. And over the last 50 years, there's been so many different versions of this album, but I'm sure you've heard the original version and the new remix and remastered version. What's your thoughts on the current version of it?
Well, I think Tom, as he always does, Tom Allen did a great job remixing and remastering. I talk to fans all the time. Some of them, as we can imagine, they liked it as it was originally. That's what they grew up with. That's the album they're familiar with. But then there's also other fans as well that really appreciate the remix and the remaster. So there's both sides of the camp, really. I think it sounds great. I think Tom, as I said, done a really good job. And there's something for everyone. If you liked the new one, then great. If you liked it as it was, then that's great as well. I think it's important for the band. It was the band's vision at the end of the day. So I think if there were some discrepancies on the original one that they wanted to and had the opportunity to change, then why not? I think it's important for them to do it.
Do you know exactly how Tom Allen kind of approached this from a technical standpoint when it came to remixing and remastering without losing too much?
No, I don't actually know. The producers it's really obviously heavily connected to the music. Obviously, when you're writing and recording, heavily connected, but it's a different box of tricks that they use, a different skill set that they use to bring the best out of the musicians and the music that's being recorded. So I'm not quite sure. He's a magician, Tom Allen, and he worked his magic on this one for sure.
Were there any discussions when, this was sort of discussed when the music came back to the band that, well, instead of remixing and remastering, maybe we could re-record it?
I don't think so. No, I think remixing and remastering was the way to go if they wanted to put something out that was closer to the vision. I think re-recording changes it completely. I know there's bands that have done that in the past, and they do it for their own reasons, which is fair enough. But I think re-recording the whole thing really takes away the original magic of what the album became.
Now that it's been mixed the way that the band likes it, is there a chance you're going to try to work a song or two into the set list?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple. Hopefully they'll see the light of day on this tour. We did ROCKA ROLLA, the title track, on the 50th anniversary tour. We're looking at another one to do within. Well, we've pretty much got it together. We've done it before. I've done it before with a band, so it shouldn't take that much to get it together, and then see how it goes down on stage. And as you said before, it's interesting how the old songs now fit in with the newer stuff. You know, even stuff like Painkiller. How is one of the songs from ROCKA ROLLA going to fit in next to that? And again, it's the same DNA, so they usually fit pretty well. But it'll be interesting to see.
So the tour is winding down at the end of 2024. What's next for Priest after that? Are you going to do another leg somewhere else, or are you going to hit the studio and write new music?
I think a bit of both, really. These tours tend to grow and evolve over time. You know, the more we do, we get more offers from different territories and stuff. So I'm sure there'll be more touring. And there's always ideas coming up. There's always creative juices flowing. So if we're able, we might be able to get in and put some ideas together and see where we are. You know, is there another record? I know we've got ideas coming up all the time, you know, riffs and melodies and song ideas and stuff. Creative people, you know, as a group of creative people, that's going to happen. So I think hopefully if we get some time early next year, we'll be able to pull those ideas and see what we've got, and then hopefully hit the road again somewhere else.
I know part of the deal of the band getting back their music to ROCKA ROLLA, they also got back Sad Wings of Destiny. Is that going to get the 50-year treatment down the road?
Yeah, I think that's being talked about, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I would imagine that that's going to happen. I've heard a few whisperings around that that's being talked about anyway. And again, some people love that album as it is. Some people would like to hear it redone. And if the band chooses that, then why not? You know, to fulfill that vision that they had in the first place.
You have a side project called Elegant Weapons. You released your debut album in 2023 called Horns for a Halo. I saw that you guys had some shows over the summer. That must have been exciting, finally getting out of the recording phase of stuff and working together as a unit.
Yeah, you know, that's when I find a band really comes together on the live stage. You know, you connect with an audience, you figure out what works and what doesn't. You know, what connects and what doesn't, and really it inspires you to kind of you're working live as a band and connecting as a band, and that inspires new ideas and new song ideas and new stuff like that. So the second record has actually already been written and it's half done, but we're just waiting for you know, we're going to wait for the Priest tour to wind out, and then we'll look for a window of opportunity to get that out there. But yeah, it's pretty much done. You know, we've got to get some vocals on it, and I think the bass has got to be finished, but drums and guitars are all done, songs are done, and again, it's just finding a window of opportunity to get it out there when the Priest aren't touring. That's what we're looking for next.
Are you able to maintain the same lineup with Elegant Weapons for the second album?
Well, I kept it the same as the band, because obviously the first record, Scott Travis and Rex Brown played on the record. They didn't play live, so I'm keeping the band that is playing live. You know, the band that I told you, you know, that you connect with, you become a band with live, and that was important going in the studio. So it's Christopher Williams on drums from Accept, Davey Rimmer on bass, and Ronnie Romero. So again, hopefully early next year we can get Ronnie to sing the tracks, and then we've got it. Then, you know, and then whatever happens with Priest is fine. But when we get that window of opportunity, we can then unleash the second one.
Well, I know I can't wait, and there's plenty of fans that can't wait. Richie, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new Judas Priest album, Invincible Shield, is out now. You're currently on tour in support of it. You've also got the 50th anniversary edition of ROCKA ROLLA out now as well. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with KNAC.com.
George, it's a pleasure. Always a pleasure for KNAC, and hopefully see you soon.